Big-name Republicans are speaking out against Donald Trump for running again for president in 2024. Now, potential presidential opponents, Mike Pompeo, Mike Pence, they called for more seriousness and new leadership. Major Republican donor and Blackstone CEO Stephen Schwarzman said that he will not back Trump this time.
Senator Mitt Romney was even more blunt, telling CNN, quote, President Trump has lost 3 in a row, and if we want to start winning, we need a new leader. We assume he means either the popular vote or 3 election cycles. Trump declared his latest run from Mar-a-Lago last night. His speech was filled with familiar themes and plenty of falsehoods. CNN's Daniel Dale is here with the fact check. So, Daniel, let's just dive in. There was so much. I guess we should start with what Donald Trump thinks about climate change and sea levels.
The Green New Deal and the environment, which they say may affect us in 300 years, is all that is talked about, and yet nuclear weapons, which would destroy the world immediately, are never even discussed as a major threat. Can you imagine? They say the ocean will rise 1/8 of an inch over the next 200 to 300 years.
Is that true?
It's not true. It's actually false in a couple of big ways. First of all, sea levels are expected to rise way more than Trump said here. He said 1/8 of an inch in 200 years. The U.S. government's National Ocean Service says on its website that the sea level along the U.S. coastline is projected to rise on average about a foot, 10 to 12 inches, in the next 30 years, which will be as much as the rise measured over the last 100 years. South Florida, where Trump gave this speech, Mar-a-Lago, could see an increase of multiple feet this century. Mar-a-Lago itself might well be significantly affected. And second, Trump generally suggested that climate change may only affect us in like 300 years, like it's some distant, far-off thing. That is grossly inaccurate. It is affecting the U.S. today in a variety of ways, including more frequent and more severe storms, wildfires, droughts, heat waves, floods. It is here. It's not 300 years away.
All right, so he also said this about that border wall.
We are going to restore and secure America's borders just like we had them before, best ever. We built the wall, and now we will add to it. Now, we built the wall, we completed the wall, and then we said, let's do more, and we did a lot more.
What?
Yeah, like that transparently makes no sense. I think this is Trump's attempt to make it sound like he fully succeeded on that signature campaign promise. In reality, he only partially fulfilled it. It's not even close to true that he completed the wall. And we have data, according to an official border wall status report written by U.S. Customs and Border Protection 2 days after he left office. It was 458 miles of wall completed under Trump. Okay, some of that primary wall, some of that reinforcement wall to existing barriers, but 280 additional miles that had been identified for wall construction had not been completed. You can just Google and find a bunch of articles about big gaps in the wall after Trump left office. And like, obviously, it makes no sense when he says it was finished, but they were still doing so-called additions. Like, come on.
Maybe he doesn't know the country's 3,000 miles long. But anyway, he also tried to compare thousands of government documents that were found at his Florida home to other cases involving government files being moved.
The raid of Mar-a-Lago, think of it. And I say, why didn't you raid Bush's place? Why didn't you raid Clinton? 32,000 emails. Why didn't you raid Clinton's place? Why didn't you do Obama, who took a lot of things with him? We will dismantle the deep state and restore government by the people.
But what happened there?
This stuff I'm going to call a lie because Trump said it in August, months ago, and it was debunked by the National Archives and Records Administration. Then he claimed in August that Obama had taken tens of millions of documents to Chicago, and then NARA issued a statement explaining this was totally wrong, that it had itself, NARA itself, had taken custody of Obama's records after Obama left office, and NARA itself took those records to a NARA-managed facility in the Chicago area. And NARA said that as per federal law, quote, former President Obama has no control over where and how NARA stores the presidential records of his administration. So Trump is trying to make it sound here like Obama did what Trump did. Completely wrong.
I feel for Daniel Dale. I mean, the amount of overtime that he has to do
I'm okay.
now.
Thank
Are you okay?
I'll be fine. People have harder jobs, but I appreciate it.
Well, I don't know about that, Daniel, and I'm going to send you some vitamins, some mega vitamins.
I'll
it's
take 'em,
incredible. All right.
Vitamins. Okay, that's what he needs. Daniel Dale, thank you very much. All right, joining us now, Sarah Matthews served as White House Deputy Press Secretary in the Trump administration. Former Illinois Congressman Joe Walsh ran against Trump for the Republican presidential nomination in 2020. Welcome to you both. Congressman, let me start with you. This speech last night was at Mar-a-Lago in front of, I guess they were cheering, but not the crowds we typically see Trump in front of. What do you think of the content and the setting that was chosen for this announcement?
Victor, yes, it was a very boring speech. It was low energy. It was filled with thousands of lies because that's what Donald Trump does. But I don't think the speech at all matters. Look, here's the deal. As we talk today, that guy, Donald Trump, is the clear favorite to be the Republican Party nominee in 2024. The speech doesn't matter. And respectfully, it doesn't matter what Mitch McConnell or Kevin McCarthy or Rupert Murdoch or Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity or all the Republican donors in the world say. The only thing that matters is where Republican voters are. And generally, they're still strongly with him.
That's such an interesting perspective, Congressman, and we'll get back to more of that in a minute. But Sarah, because you know President Trump and worked with President Trump, I do want to get your impressions of his speech last night. What did you think?
I mean, it definitely was a boring speech. We've heard that from a lot of folks. It was uninspiring. You know, I worked for him. I've seen him give plenty of speeches during that time, and it was by far one of his most low energy. I mean, he himself seemed bored with it. And I think if 2016 Trump saw 2022 Trump give that speech, he would have called it low energy. I think for a presidential announcement, you want your speech to be something that is, you know, uplifting, inspiring hope and forward looking. And this just kind of turned into a rambling, incoherent mess.
But Sarah, very quickly, what's that about? I mean, what we've heard from Maggie Haberman, her reporting is that his heart's not in it. What's that about?
It does seem like he might be running because he thinks that it's going to shield him from, you know, these criminal investigations that are swarming around him. I don't think that's going to make a difference, but I do think that in his eyes, he thinks that he can message that to his supporters and to the American people as, hey, they're coming after me because I'm running for president and they don't want to see me get elected again. And so that seems to be part of his strategy.
Congressman, to your point, the former president dominating the field for 2024 nomination for Republicans. Let's put up the poll. This is from New York Times, Siena College. 49% support former President Trump. Governor Ron DeSantis at 26%. No one else in double digits in this poll, just to support what you just said there. But also, I want you to listen to what Senator Josh Hawley says. And this is the carryover from the speech from the former president to what we saw today with the vote for Mitch McConnell to lead Republicans in the Senate.
I think Senator McConnell's view is that Trump is largely to blame, that Republicans have an image problem because of Trump. I've said that I don't agree with that.
What do you make of what you're hearing generally there, the theory from Josh Hawley, and what is Josh Hawley doing? He said the Republican Party is dead, that it's not the Trump image problem. What do you see and hear in that soundbite?
Oh, I think, Victor, that Hawley and Cruz said a lot of this as well. They want this Republican Party, my former political party, to even be stronger down this road of kind of a nationalistic, build a wall around America, go after CNN and go after the liberals, make America a Christian theocracy. The movement, conservatives now in the party like Hawley, they want the Republican Party to push this stuff a lot more. But again, that just helps Trump because that's the kind of crap that Donald Trump espouses.
Congressman, one more follow-up about Kari Lake. She lost her race in Arizona. The Wall Street Journal editorial board says if Kari Lake couldn't win on Stop the Steal in 2022, it's hard to see how anyone else can pull it off. Maybe at last, the 2020 election is over. You see something different, and you predict something different for her future.
Oh, yeah. To me, Kari Lake's a star. And Allison, I won't bet anybody on this, but I wouldn't at all be surprised if Trump in 3 months announces Kari Lake as his vice presidential pick. Super, super early. He loves her. She epitomizes his message, his election denying, attack democracy. She's still saying the 2020 election was stolen, and she's very good and very smooth and very polished as to how she leads with this election denialism stuff. Look, don't write Trump's obituary yet, Allison, and I don't think we should write that. Election denialism is still a huge part of this Republican Party.
Quickly, before we go, Sarah, do you think former President Trump can handle that much star power at number 2 on a ticket with him?
I do think that he would be worried about Carrie Lake showing him up. I mean, given her background as a former journalist, she's very good on TV. But I also don't know if I see him picking her as a potential running mate, because had she won her race, maybe it would have been different. But she's a loser. And so I don't see him wanting to join forces with someone like that.